So with the release of Scarlet and Violet, just this past week, I'm surprised that Pokemon game titles have yet to use too many color names. Like, where's Pokemon Chartreuse and Marigold?
Mikoi, they already have Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. Whatever do you mean?
I'm just thinking...
And Pokemon Black and White.
Well, I'm just thinking that we could go more obscure colors. Pokemon Granny Smith Apple, anyone? Pokemon...
Scarlet not obscure enough?
Too common. We need more obscure names. Anyway, hey everyone, this is Mikoi, welcoming you back to another episode of the TLT podcast. I am joined by the Scarlet to my Violet.
What do you mean? I'm playing Violet.
The Violet to my Scarlet. Introduce yourself, woman.
PokeArt 2004.
Anyway, last time we covered round 1 recap and round 2 predictions. This time we're going to cover round 2 and round 3 predicts. Although the latter of which, y'all weren't kidding when you said you weren't going to know John this week.
Oof.
So, round
2.
As we can see from these matchups, they were pretty much some of the most expected results that we've ever seen in TLT. Although it was interesting because most of these series actually went to 3 games. So actually watching these series is kind of a blast, honestly. We get to see a much more evenly competitive Pokemon tour, unlike some tours out there. We'll get to them. We'll get to them when we get to them, okay? But for now, this one's fun. First off, Dunox versus Fragments.
No, that's the first we're talking about? I haven't seen that. That's like one of the 2 I haven't seen.
Well, I saw this game, and I saw it live. The OU game was pretty interesting. We got Magnezone trapping the Melmetal and Magnet Rising to avoid the earthquake. It was a proven effective strat that I'm very proud that Fragments actually developed. And he seemed to have
Did it have Iron Defense?
It did.
Body Press?
It did.
Oh my god, it's that sad.
Yeah. Fragments did seem to have the early lead until he choked by Calm Minding with Tapu Fini against the Urshifu instead of, attacking it. Which was proven to be quite the downfall as Fragments choked away a pretty easy OU win. The UU win, Fragments did a lot better here. He had better prep, he played better, and Hal Entei actually became the MVP of this game. Just setting up once, and then tanking a super powerful Raikou Scald in order to sweep with Sacred Fire. What is it with Dunox losing at UU? Come on, man.
Wow, yeah, that is odd. He's lost both of the UU games he's played so far, huh?
Yeah, it was
Despite being very dominant in the tier during BLT.
Very dominant. And yet, you can't seem to muster a win in UU, which is very unfortunate. But he did win OU and eventually doubles, which
That's interesting. Isn't that his second doubles win?
Yes, it is. And Dunox actually can prove that he can pilot doubles fairly decently. His matchup was very well favored here. Spectrier was out for quite a while, although it wasn't used very effectively. And the Porygon 2 actually became the MVP of this game, getting to kill multiple Mons, while Metagross was just sitting there, secretly setting up the Cosmic Power, which, was able to tank a lot of hits, while Porygon did most of the damage. So, good win for Dunox. A very solid win by a solid player who progresses through the winner's bracket. Next up, we got Sice defeating TDR. Um, first first game they played was doubles, which Heatran was doing a lot of damage in the beginning, like a proper lot of damage with Eruption. But Assault Vest Kyurem kind of just tanked an Eruption and Earth powered it to death.
That was like life orb eruption, right?
It was Life Orb Eruption, and the Heatran was doing just a lot of damage,
Yeah, that's not something you see every day.
especially in doubles. TDR's Genesect set, though, proved to be very effective.
No, I don't think, especially in doubles, it's just life orb
Oh, Life.
eruption is it's a bit of an odd combo.
It is kind of an odd combo, but you know what? It's proven effective, at least for a little while. TDR's Genesect actually became the MVP for this game because it was able to set up and then sweep with Leech Life.
And sheer gift.
Yeah, sheer gift. Exactly. Yes, it was able to set up with sheer gift and was sweeping with a sheer gift indeed. Um, but yeah, that was a TDR's win there. Sheer gift.
I really hate how. I really almost said gift share that time.
Gift sheer it is. Well, shifting gears. Shifting.
I really hate how shift gear or sheer gift. It's there's still words either way.
I know, right? Well, shifting gears to Ubers now. Sice, there wasn't really much to say about this game. There was some toxic wars at the early start. Like, people were just throwing out toxic shade at one another. Uh, but there was nothing really much to say. Sice majorly dominated this game. Just outclassed TDR a lot, despite TDR putting up a very good fight near the end with Eternatus.
Allow me to say, I feel like TDR could have utilized Marshadow better. Is it just me? Or,
Yeah, I guess.
Or did he underutilize it?
I guess it wasn't he just wasn't using it effectively as we would like to hope. Especially since Marshadow had a pretty good matchup.
I don't know if it had a good matchup to say, but could have done more. Definitely.
And then we saw the OU game where we saw Sice's Blaziken become the MVP. Just being able to set up Swords Dance into just sweeping with close combat. It was very effective. And getting the speed boost to go along with it.
Yeah, I remember that. That was Lefty's Blaziken. And wait, didn't they both bring that?
They did bring both. I'm just saying that Sice's Blaziken performed better than TDR's.
Well, yeah. TDR mostly tried and utilized Rillaboom.
Yep. But Blaziken being in on the field. And then the TDR was still like putting up a fight. It was still trying to play catch up against Sice's Mons. Although Weavile getting burned was pretty costly. And that kind of well, the game didn't really matter by that point, but it was just unfortunate. And so Sice picked up the win there in a pretty easy OU fashion. Next up, we got Spitfire Arcanine versus Banbadoro. Monotype. Spitfire brought overpowered flying, continuing to be the best type for Monotype.
Yep, to everyone's surprise.
But to our surprise, Spitfire actually brought some heat. Rest Talk Galar Zapdos was a legit threat.
Yep.
Weavile did miss an Icicle Crash around this point, and Mal tried to Paraflinch Celesteela with Rock Slide Zarude, but I wouldn't call it the best strat because ultimately it failed.
Yeah, I mean that Celesteela was also like a defensive, like a physically defensive Celesteela. So like lefties, and it had a beast boost under its belt.
So yeah, it would take more than 16 PP to kill this Celesteela, unless he could.
Yeah, so there was really nothing Mal could do at the end.
True. The OU game wasn't really much better. There was Heatran War at the start, although I do gotta say, is Flame Body better than Flashfire Heatran nowadays? Because I see a lot of Flame Body Heatran just being effective. Let me know down in the comments below if Flame Body Heatran is the way of the future, aside from boring old Flashfire Heatran.
Sorry, I spaced out for a bit, but yeah, it's actually not super uncommon. I've seen it occasionally.
I do too, and it's actually quite proven effective. It is worth bringing over, just being a good Heatran check. But most of this game, Mal's hyper offensive kind of like sweepy oriented team, really wasn't matched up well against Spitfire's team, which was more bulk based. Dragonite did try to be useful, but it getting poisoned prevented it, but truly sweeping. And then Kartana being paralyzed near the end was good game for Mal.
Yep.
So unfortunately,
Although I'd say this was the predicted result.
yeah, Spitfire 1 in 2 against Mal, which is pretty much what everyone and their mother predicted.
Whose mother?
Your mother is a lady. Next up.
Yeah, but she doesn't know crap about Mons.
Next up, Thiago Nunes versus Sanjay Das. This is the other game that you mentioned you didn't watch, right?
Yeah, I can only imagine this was domination.
This was, the first game was doubles. And this is once again Sanjay Das proving that he can beat a doubles player and do it well. There was the early start saw Mew trick the Incineroar with Scarf, which was a really interesting choice to bring. There was also Weakness Policy Moltres. We saw that, and that was neat. Shame it missed Hurricane against Porygon 2. And there was a kind of a funny moment where Tapu Fini critted the Mew with Muddy Water, but then after setup with Calm Mind, Kyurem just kind of crit Fini with Freeze Dry.
Huh.
So, kind of unfortunate there. Once again, T. Nunes, when he's playing doubles, he just kind of didn't do too well. But he did bring some heat tech. RU was much better for T. Nunes, and RU being Thiago Nunes' bread and butter tier, it was a truly dominating game. Saw Sanjay losing Blastoise early, and losing Blastoise and just losing that reliable rapid spinner. He had a hard time catching up against Thiago Nunes because he had trouble with rocks as well as trying to set up with Toxtricity. But Gudra put a stop to that with Draco Meteor and just kind of outclassed Sanjay Das in every shape or form. RU was a big pain. NU wasn't much better. Thiago Nunes once again dominating that game, using Gastrodon to toxic most of the competition, and just being a very, very effective wall. It was very nice. So yeah, well done to Thiago Nunes. Once again, the better singles player. When singles players just outweigh doubles tiers, unfortunately.
Okay.
Next up, Dora Money versus Jordy. This one was a really good series, admittedly. It's long, but it's certainly worth the time and effort because both players proved very evenly matched for the most part. But LC was kind of a bad start because there was an early burn on Mienfoo, which was a bad sign. It was nothing much else to say, I don't think. Pokeart, you've watched this game, so you know.
Yeah.
This was a pretty straightforward game. Just Door Money outclassing Jordy. See what
Yeah,
hap-
pretty much. Your money dominated Jordy and LC.
See what happens when when a main actually like goes really well for a tier. Throwing some shade again.
Goes ham.
Goes ham. RU RU was an interesting game. Milotic almost always got a scald burn. It's like the only
Yeah, but pretty much whenever Crobat was out and not burned, Milotic burned it.
well, not just
In fact, he basically burned everything.
yeah, it wasn't just Crobat who got burned. Almost everything got burned except for the Umbreon, which, as the cleric, it got to heal off some of the burns. But Milotic would always just burn them back.
Yeah, Umbreon didn't get burned every time, at least, but everything else got burned like every time. It was actually, yeah, it was shocking.
Beware Tank, the CC from Heracross was kind of neat. There was one turn that Leaf Storm and Toxic actually missed together in one turn, which was really hilarious.
90% accuracy moves, can't trust them.
The end game, we saw Milotic walling, just utterly walling both Crobat and Umbreon. And despite running out of attacking moves, it still walled them thanks to Haze having more PP.
And saving recovers.
Yes, and actually saving recovers. Yu, what Jordy used Milotic?
Wait, was their RU game the one with a Heracross on both sides?
Yeah.
So was it Jordy's that had a questionable Heracross set that wasn't Flame Orb?
I think it may have been Choice because it was only using knockoff for that game.
Yeah, so like was that Choice Scarf Moxie?
I think that was Choice Scarf Moxie. It was more.
Okay.
I think it was.
Now I take back what I said about being questionable. More like just questionable as in I didn't know what it was.
Yeah. You might want to clarify that in the comments below, but yeah, that's the consensus I got with it. I think it's Choice Scarf Moxie Heracross. Yu. So Jordy used a Milotic in RU and actually walled a lot of bonds with it. Yu saw Door Money actually use the Milotic this time.
Which is funny, yeah. And he won with it, right?
Yeah, he won with it, along with Rotom and Sylveon against the Primarina, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Zarude.
This shows that using Milotic gives you wins.
Yes, majestic Milotics indeed. Zarude missed a Power Whip early on, which was really unfortunate and kind of screwed the momentum that Jordy was going for. Toxtricity barely missing out on the Boom Burst Oko on Salamence, despite it being Specs. Rotom tricking the Primarina, getting lefties, aside from heavy duty boots. It was an interesting choice. It was an interesting switch right there.
Nah, I think it's perfectly reasonable. Take away Primarina's healing.
I guess.
Some of it.
Well, it has rest, but yeah.
Yeah, but now it has less healing.
Yeah, it has more or less healing options. The end
makes
game.
It easier. I said makes it easier.
Endgame saw Primarina getting walled by Milotic and Rotom and Sylveon heavily because it would just keep switching out. Rotom would do the Volt Switch while Milotic would just do the Haze.
Yes, the same sequence of Milotic is in, Rotom switches in, Rotom uses Volt Switch, Milotic is in, switch out to Rotom again, it uses Volt Switch, Milotic is in, switch out to Rotom again, it uses Volt Switch, Milotic is in.
And Primarina just kept resting and calm minding, hoping to get something, while Milotic also carried Haze.
Yes, and you know what else it carried?
What?
An ally in Rotom that it kept switching out to.
Yes. So.
Rotom is in, Rotom uses Volt Switch, Milotic is in, switch back to Rotom, Rotom uses Volt Switch, Milotic is in.
Etc. 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 Very good. Next up.
And basically the sequence continued until Primarina ran out of rest.
Yes, and Moonblast Moonblasts.
Toxic.
Yeah, Moonblast and Rest. It ran out of. That was basically what Dormoney had to do, and really conserving that PP.
I don't think it ran out of Moonblast though.
No, it did. It did. I checked.
I just watched it though, and if it did, I didn't notice because it just kept using it till it died.
Yeah, it was.
Rotom using Volt Switch.
Yeah. Well, that was it. And well done, Dormoney, to that one for utterly killing it here. Next up was Balor versus Udon Girl, and you notice that I'm a little bit more sequestered talking about this game because, yeah, this was anticlimactic. This was the last.
It was 1-1.
Hmm?
It was 1-1.
It was the last game in the series. It was 1-1. Everything was going neat until Udon Girl needed an extension. And Udon Girl failed to show up at said extension, even though they were communicating with Balor well. So Balor, having not gone for the extension, would rather just play it out. Balor won by Aquin. But the rest of the series, it was a questionable series. First of all in LC, which Pain Split Coughing actually was proven very effective. Tyrant did some damage with setup DD and CCing a lot. The real highlight though of this game has to be Ponyta. Okay.
Oh yeah, now you're making me remember.
So the Ponyta, having Wild Charge instead of Will-O-Wisp has its ups and downs. Like, okay.
Hey, I'm pretty sure that's the more common one, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, Wild Charge?
Yeah?
I thought Will-O-Wisp was more common.
No. I think Will-O-Wisp is like when it's Eviole Ponyta, right?
Yeah. I've seen some Berry Juice Ponyta do it.
If it's Berry Juice, then it's Offensive Ponyta, which means it has, Flame Charge. No, not Flame Charge. Well, maybe Flame Charge, but I meant Flare Blitz and Wild Charge. Not Flame Charge, Wild Charge.
So, Wild Charge has its ups and downs. Like, yeah, you're getting recoil off of it, but a strong electric move. But yeah, you're just losing a lot of health in the process. But the main problem. But the main problem with this game though was Udon Girl just over predicting twice. Like, it had Ponyta against Gurki, and Ponyta was actually, what was I gonna say? Ponyta had Gurki up. It was a free Flare Blitz check. However, Udon Girl clicked Wild Charge twice, and Gurki just kept getting chipped with Grassy Glide. It was a free Flare Blitz check, and yet he tried to predict the Frillish coming in?
I can kind of understand why, because certainly Udon Girl doesn't want the off chance that Frillish gets to switch in for free,
I guess, but Udon Girl literally had a Flare Blitz ready. And then he could just wild charge off the Furlish later. But yeah, it was a kind of an unfortunate. It was kind of an unfortunate display there, but Balor took the win pretty handily. Yu Yu was a lot better for Udon Girl because she was able to be a little bit more tactical and a little bit more controlling of this game. First off, the Lycanroc predicting the Cabalion switch. That was pretty neat. Chandelure carrying Energy Ball was a nice surprise, just to kill Rotom. Lycanroc was the MVP for that game, doing most of the damage and just being the revenge sweeper that we need. Even to resisted mons like Golurk, it was able to do a lot of damage. Or was it Diggersby? No, it was Diggersby, sorry. Diggersby.
Yeah, Diggersby.
So, yeah. Well, so it was 1-1, but Act Win forced the supposed NU game to go to Balor's side. So, Balor took the win. Very anticlimactic.
Yeah.
And speaking of anticlimactic, Krang versus Desem.
Yeah, that was,
You people thought that this was a highlight match between two really good players. This game was really anticlimactic. It was so bad. Monotype. We got Fling Light Ball Tornadoes coming back. That should just be a staple in all Desem teams.
True.
Thunderous Okoing Mantine was kind of surprising because I thought legit that Mantine would live a hit. Especially because, Mantine is known for special bulk. But Thunderous, believing it was specs, or maybe it was heavy duty boots and you just got the high roll. I don't know. Point is, it got the kill. There was a moment where Voltage Sword came into good use at one point, just healing Thunderous. And Desem looked to be in a pretty good position to win. Until he misclicked Taunt instead of attacking Moltres.
Yeah.
It was very unfortunate, and Crying basically took the win by that point. Ubers.
Yeah, like, he basically choked by doing that.
Ubers.
Like, that cost.
Yes. Ubers was a lot worse off for Desem because he was basically outclassed here against Crying. Urshifu was...
Desem kind of sucks at Ubers.
Oh, well, it was kind of evident in this matchup. Urshifu was
it's evident in other matchups too. I've seen him suck in Ubers.
A lot more than more than most people do. Urshifu was immediately wasted, which was unfortunate. Kyogre and Spectre did a lot of damage in this game. Necrozma tried to pull up the reverse sweep by the end, but Foul Play and Doug Trio just kind of stopped it. So yeah, Crying took the win in 2, people. A highlight match. It wasn't really.
The real upset here was Crying being Desem in mono. Because, he had that match, but
just that, that legitimately made us upset.
Although once freaking that happened, I figured Crying probably won.
Yeah, it was a very dominant Crying win.
It's like Ubers was still left. Regardless of the order they played in, Ubers was left.
And yeah, Crying took the win there.
Yeah, Crying's good in Ubers, and Desem is very much not.
Next up, the final matchup in the winner's bracket, Wesh Papillon versus Cielo. Monotype, we saw Ice versus Steel. Yikes. Matchup was very unwinnable for Pap.
No, it was not unwinnable.
Why isn't it unwinnable? Explain to the viewers.
Jade Arm. Also, that Kyurem had Earth Power.
Jade Arm can only do one thing, and one thing well. Kyurem may be good as a versatile mon to try to pilot in, especially in ice, but really it's gonna just lose to, well, here steel. It was very hard to win. If you don't want me to call it unwinnable, it's very hard to win.
Yeah, it's hard to win, but it was by no means unwinnable. Ice just has that much offensive pressure.
But yeah, true. LC was a much more dominant PAP game. CLL really wasn't able to keep Staryu in check for rapid spins, and Larvesta just became the MVP at that endgame.
True.
And NU was very unfortunate for CLL. The first off, the early Hydro Pump miss was already a bad sign. Starmie really should have been more useful. Salazzle bringing Overheat to kill Mudstill was nice. Cute Charm Sylveon activated for once against Scrafty. But then
Yeah, that's not something you see very often.
Yeah, but then Scrafty just kind of ended up sweeping the rest of the endgame after getting 2 Dragon Dances in. It's unfortunate for CLO. But good job, Wesh. It's a shame, though.
Okay, but I wonder why would. Wait, which one had the non-water absorbed Mantine again? Wesh?
I think it was Wesh. Yeah.
Okay, so like, yeah, I gotta wonder why his Mantine was not water absorbed when I don't see a Rain Dance Mon.
Yeah. Maybe it had Rain Dance.
I would assume Swift Swim, but like, then where's the Rain Dance?
Maybe it had Rain Dance. We just didn't see it.
No, it didn't.
Weird.
It was like Scald, Roost, something else.
Defog.
And Hurricane.
Weird.
Oh, it was Defog, Scald, Roost, Hurricane.
Weird.
There was no Rain Dance.
Yeah, don't bring hindering abilities, folks. Just water absorb it up if you don't want the if you don't want the Swift Swim. Weird.
I don't know. I mean, I personally ran Swift Swim Mantine for a number of months in NU, so
it is good.
And mine ran Rain Dance.
It's good. Let me tell you, it's good. That Mantine, it's good. Anyway.
It can be. It's not always great.
But
it's not good for long-term battles, but it's good in a pinch.
Good job for Papillon for winning, although he had to drop after that win, so yeah, unfortunately a favorite is gone.
I wonder though. Why did CLO wait so long to reveal Thunderbolts?
I know, right? You should have revealed it early. Well,
like there was at least a few turns where that Starmie was in on the, on the Mantine, right? So why did he wait so long to Thunderbolt?
Yeah, just Hydro Pumped it, maybe Ice Beamed a bit, but yeah, he should have just went for Thunderbolt. Maybe he was just trying to outpredict something. I don't know. Yeah,
I wonder.
So that was the end of the winners bracket. Now let's move on to the losers bracket. First off, Lady Rider versus Undefeated Alt. PU, we saw Alt bring Rain, while Lady Rider brought Stall.
And with Lady Rider naturally being a decently good PU player, I think it's pretty easy to see who wins.
Not decent. He's very good. Because he really played around Rain extremely well, just neutering the Frostmoth and the Dreadnought before toxicking the Ludicolo, just stopping all the Swift Swim sweepers. Next up was LC, which it was kind of a very foregone conclusion as to what's happened. We saw the where we saw Effect Spore on Morlul putting the Minfu to sleep, and Abra just catching the Poniard with Drain Punch and Okoing it.
As usual lately.
Some surprises included Alt missing a very crucial Hydro Pump, and Trico carrying Bullet Seed. That was pretty nice. Nothing much else to say though. Lady Rider just played very well, and not.
I feel like Undefeated Alt played LC very poorly.
You can very tell that he wasn't really experienced in the meta. But yeah, Lady Rider moves on, continuing to be quite the hidden goat. Next up, Siphicon losing to Lucas Joel. Unfortunate. But let's review the games. OU, it was the most bog standard OU game I've ever seen. Siffy just kind of outclassed Lucas Joel, especially since Lucas just failed to protect Dragapult.
Okay. Dragapult, yeah. Sounds like bog standard OU, as you just said.
Well, it's very bog standard OU if you've seen the game. LC, Siphicon brought Sun, which I know you're a big fan of. But I don't think Sun teams I think Sun teams rarely work, especially in a big team tour.
Not true. Not true.
hey. You fell victim to this last year. You should know this. Solar Blade, using the Solar Blade against the Slowpoke was nice. But I gotta give credit to Lucas Joel. He protected well some of his important mons, like Carvana, which was very well protected here. Just standing up to most Fire Mons and flip turning them, despite being under Sun, that's incredible. And Lucas Joel just kind of played very well in the end game, with Grookey, first, final Gambit Diglett at 1 HP, well done. And then just getting one free Swords Dance in to just Grassy Glide the rest of the competition.
You wanna know something? Look, I played with Sun and LC, and Sci-Fi didn't do it terribly well.
As the Sun expert.
I'm not claiming to be a pro or anything, but yeah, still.
Unfortunately, it wasn't really well piloted, that team. It's really hard to pilot with that team.
I feel like Sci-Fi's chances were very, very winnable. And he just didn't play optimally.
Unfortunate. And then Ubers was the big decider. Necrozma living most Weavile knockoffs and then healing was already kind of a bad sign. But then Siffy's Necrozma just kept getting paralyzed. It got paralyzed 3 times, and those were very crucial against Eternatus. It just cost Siffy the game. And the series. So, unfortunately, Siphicon gets knocked out, and Lucas Joel moves on. Next up, Failbur versus JJ09 Lee. Now, doubles. Failbur's Hail hyper offensive team, kind of a decent matchup against JJ's team, albeit a little bit too Kyurem dependent for my tastes. JJ's Naganadel and Celesteela looked to be the MVPs of that game, although Celesteela had a pretty unfortunate freeze midway. And JJ just won with Kyurem beating another Kyurem. Need I may say more?
Not really.
Yu, we saw Registeel looking to have that set. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I saw.
After a pretty short game that really could have been better. Scissor got burned. JJ forfeited. Nothing much else to say, so let's move on to else.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, because, well, not only did Failber have multiple statusers, and that Scissor got burned, but he lost his heel, but JJ lost his heel beller pretty early, so yeah.
He lost the Sylveon pretty early on. Couldn't really get momentum on his side afterwards. LC, guys, could you stop switching in Poniard against an Abra when you know it has Drain Punch or Focus Punch or any fighting move at all? Seriously. And also, stop just going Minfu versus Larvesta and hoping for like a fake out or a U-turn, because you will always get burned. Like, take my advice. Stop doing these LC tropes and play LC a little bit better. JJ kind of dominated this game. Failber forfeited. So Failber is out and JJ moves on.
Yeah, I didn't expect Failber to get too far.
Round 1 though? Round 1?
Round 2.
Okay. Next up, Elfuzon versus Martin V. Tren. This one was a very, very disappointing matchup.
Elfuzon cannot get lucky.
Yeah, he wasn't up all night to get lucky. The doubles game was a very short one. Martinville felt very dominant, just surprising Elfuzon with Mew Ice Beam against Landorus. Trick Room was very much in his favor, and yeah, Elfuzon just couldn't do anything. Martin kind of wiped the floor with him. Yu, I feel like Elfuzon just gave up because Delmise, it was Delmise against Suicune, and Delmise just put up a very, very poor fight. It got burned. It wasn't able to stand up to Suicune's stall. I mean, and
it was missing quite a bit.
It dodged a Power Whip and Poltergeist at very crucial times, and yeah, it was just unaffected against Suicune, who just kept substitute Calm Mind, Protect, Scald, and it got forfeited. So unfortunate for Elfuzon, a favorite in the tour, mind you, who everyone expected to go far. Unfortunately, he's out round 1.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. Like, he got unlucky twice.
Ah, man.
Now, I'm not saying the result would have been different versus Martin. I don't know if it would have. Martin's actually good, but it would have been different versus Sanjay Das, and he wouldn't have had to face Martin.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's what Yeah, Elfuzon just had a really, really poor year this year. So, despite being in the winning team with the Snorlaxes, kind of got unlucky there. It kind of got unlucky in BLT, except for that one game against Maki, and then TLT just wasn't exactly a great year. Next up, Jay versus Pokemon Cessdor. OU saw PCD trick the Slowbro with Black Sludge to get the Colbur Berry. Very good turn, that one. There was a lot of...
Yeah, not only that, but he also poisoned it.
Got a free poison.
Slowbro, I mean.
Yeah, got a free poison in the process, so well done there. There was a lot of times where there was just odd switching around with Kartana, letting PCD just get the free chip. So I don't know what Jay's game plan was there. Just let Cart just deal the damage. And then, but towards the end, Weavile only managed to get one triple axle in against Tapu Fini. That was pretty unfortunate. Although we were discussing, yeah, go on.
Yeah, well, they were saying that it only hitting once may have cost Jay the game. I'm not entirely sure, because, well, the next time it hit Tabu Vini, the damage it did was about 31%. And the damage at the time it used it the first time, Vini had about 33% left. So I don't know if it was a roll or not, but I'm saying it may not have truly cost Jay, and he may have just lost anyway.
Yeah, I didn't think it would. I didn't think Weavile would do enough damage to kill Finny either. Also, because he had a Dragapult in the back, so yeah, it wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been a pretty kill either way. We saw Jay bring 2 Sash users in this pretty hyper offensive team. Mimikyu missed a play rough, and Diancie living on 1 HP. It prevented Mimi from being really a true sweeper. And then towards the end, we saw Gardevoir double critting the Celebi and the Flygon for PCD to win.
Yeah, like, I was thinking that Celebi had a chance, even if it was a bit slim, that it could make a comeback, but nope.
Next, so PCD wins there, and Jay unfortunately is out. A lot of people have been saying Jay is quite the good player, has a lot of hype going up against him. Unfortunately, getting ousted in round 2. Next up, El Cap versus Vanilla Coke. He was given the win, and that's very lame.
Yes, it is.
Next up,
Normally, I would agree and say it's the only way El Cap could win a week, but I cannot say that anymore.
Lame.
You know why?
Lame. Next up, Skelly versus Richard Pepper. We saw Richard trying to toxic Reuniclus was wild. That was odd. Growth Vileplume was actually a very nice surprise. Getting to kill Flygon and Celebi after setup. That was very nice. Togekiss cleaned up the endgame, even though Vileplume broke through Grimmsnarl's setup. But yeah, Skelly just kind of played very dominantly. Monotype was actually a very interesting game. We saw Bulk Up substitute Zapdos, and it was whirlwinded away by Drapion. Drapion?
Yeah.
It's a weird mon to bring Whirlwind into, especially on the Poison team. Nidoking.
Is that weird? What other common poison type mon on the Poison team actually learns that, though?
Nothing, I guess. Maybe Nidoking? I don't know. Nidoking, speaking of Nidoking, it really could have been used more effectively because it had Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Fire Blast. Everyone can take a hit. If Nidoking had actually brought that against the flying team, but unfortunately, nothing. The real highlight of this game, though, was Corviknight because it was able to fully set up, Bulk Up, and Brave Bird the rest of the competition, despite being burned midway through. Like, Richard still managed to captain Corviknight and absolutely slay the Toxapex, slay the rest of the Poison Mons. And PU. We saw Skelly bringing Stall, Richard almost bringing almost kind of a stall breaker team, I guess. I mean,
basically some sort of HO.
Yeah, Whimsicott was stalling the Articuno well with Leech Seed and what was it? Tailwind substitute?
No, it was Leech Seed, Substitute, Moonblast, and
something.
I don't know.
Something, but it was Prankster and it was stalling Articuno well. Very well done. Sylvania Ghost could have become the MVP of this team, but getting pain splitted by Weezing plus an unaware Quagsire and getting poisoned just hampered it a lot. And yeah, Skelly just outplayed Richard Pepper after that. It wasn't really that surprising. Not much else to say. Moving on. And yeah, unfortunate. Richard Pepper never really got off on his journey to see you next year, Richard.
See you next year, Richard.
And finally, we get Miminger versus Skimmy the God. Monotype, OU, and RU. Miminger brought Pikachu.
Yep.
Why did he do it? Miminger, tell us why. Yeah, I guess that's why they call him the Miminger. Anyway, Monotype saw Corviknight getting burned by a heat wave, which was really unfortunate. It was flying versus electric, although Celesteela proved to be a very, very effective wall against the electric team. And yeah, Skimmy just played very well here. OU, Dragapult and Rotom did more damage this time, more so than Cart, which really should have been the sweeper for this game. And then RU, we saw Special Crobat popping up once again. I really starting to love Special Crobat. And seeing that usage shine up. Hopefully that Gen 9 will continue that. But Skimmy's Crobat was actually the
Special Crobat? Usage of Special Crobat in Gen 9, you say?
Yeah. Why? Is Crobat not in the game?
Let me just, Crobat's not in the game.
Aww. Well, we get to enjoy it while it lasts. Skimmy's Crobat actually was the MVP of this game, able to stand up against Miminger's Crobat and Shadow Sneak from Mimikyu to land Brave Birds and just kill half of Miminger's team.
Dang.
So, that was round 2. Let's move on now to round 3. Looking at round 3 and, wait. What is this? 4 matches have already been played? What? You know genres? Why do you know John? And look at the results. The actual upsets.
Yeah, I'm still in shock over some of these.
We will talk about these upsets next week when we're free to slay and roast onto all of them. Although I will say, well, we'll talk about predictions when we get to it. But first off, predictions for the games that actually matter. Lady Rider versus Ciela was first. Actual highlight match.
I predict Ciela will win.
I also think Ciela will win because I think Ciela does.
Player.
Not only is he the better player, but I think he's more versatile in other tiers, whereas Lady Rider can do only one tier really well. The rest are kind of decent, but I think Cielo outclasses Lady Rider, so this should be a Cielo win.
Mm-hmm.
Next up is Lucas Joel defeating...
Can you really say that for sure after these upsets?
Lucas Joel versus Decem, which Lucas Joel wins?
I think it's... so pardon me. I think it's safe to say both of us would have predicted in favor of Decem.
I think everyone and their mother would have predicted Decem to win, but no.
Stop bringing my mother into this.
Everyone's mom. But Decem losing and out of TLT? Just like that?
Yeah, that's, wow.
Yeah. Lucas Joel was the one who to defeat Decem, getting rid of one of the favorites. Next up, JJ09 Lee versus Udon Girl. Yeah. I think this should be a pretty easy matchup, honestly. What do you think?
I think Udon should win.
Yes. Please. It's enough with the upsets. No. I mean, I won't be
I
up.
wouldn't be surprised if it goes to 3 games, though.
Yeah.
JJ shows promise.
Yeah, I was a little bit impressed with JJ09 from last round. I don't think he's quite as mid anymore, but you know, he's showing promise. Showing promise, this guy.
He's not Udon Girl level, I'll say that.
Yeah, even if Balor lost this one, I don't think JJ09 is going to be moving up in the ranks per se. So yeah, I think Udon Girl should win. Next up, another highlight match between two good friends, Martin Vitran versus Jordy. This one ought to be very close.
Yeah, I agree. Jordy is better at Mons than I first thought.
Yeah, and come on, we need staff representation. Mal lost. Jordy, you're the only one left.
True. Staff needs some representation because the staff used to kill it in these back in the day.
I mean, we only promoted we only promoted the good battlers back then. Now, it's totally different. But yeah, Martin versus Jordy. I think I'm gonna go with Jordy, but only slightly.
Really?
I think Martin's also good at doubles, and he can do decently in other tiers. But Jordy does better at singles, so that's why I'm picking him.
Oh, this is honestly tough. I don't think I really know. This is too even.
Yeah. Come on, gut feeling. Go with your gut.
So Martin will win in doubles, and my gut feeling is saying Jordy wins.
Okay, so you're picking Jordy on this one.
I guess so.
Next up, we got Pokemon Cestor beating Sanjay Das via forfeit because Sanjay Das said he was dropping out.
Oh, why's that?
Well, he just said, I dropped. Good luck with rest of tourney. That's unfortunate, but yeah, if this was... if this had happened, this would have likely been another upset. I don't know. Well, we predicted PCD either way, so come on.
Yeah.
Next up, El Cap versus Banbadoro in 2. Nonetheless, but
really would have liked to see this live, not gonna lie.
Is it kind of weird of me that I would actually predict El Cap would win?
Yeah, that's a little weird.
I honestly think, as good as Banbadoro is, and I truly do think he's good.
He's decent.
I think he's one of those players that just doesn't know how to handle guys like El Cap. Like, right now, look, he lost in 2. Like, here, he lost in 2 in this current week. But...
Did he just not know El Cap would bring HO?
Yeah, again, El Cap brings predictable teams, guys. Use that. But yeah, I don't think he had El Cap's number. I don't think he's quite as experienced in dealing with El Cap as a lot of people do. But yeah, El Cap...
What do you mean he didn't have El Cap's number? They don't text?
Yeah.
They don't call each other on the phone every so often?
I mean, I'm speaking in a metaphorical sense, PokeArt.
Yeah, I've never heard that expression before, Mikoi.
Wow, okay. Well, it's time to teach you some phrases then. But yeah, El Cap, I would have predicted him.
Boy, I'm the one who should be teaching you. I'm pretty sure I know more than you.
I know.
In terms of English expressions.
I know. I'm such a noob. But El Cap, I would have predicted them. Honest to God, I would have predicted El Cap.
Well then.
Next up, Skelly versus TDR, and TDR beats Skelly, and Skelly is also out of TLT.
This makes me immensely sad.
Skelly, we need you to win a TLT, buddy. You deserve it. After years of experience, yet you falter yet again. We'll talk about how you lost this week, next week. Okay? Okay. And
Okay.
and
I'm very
finally,
saddened by this.
we get Fragments versus Skimmy the God. This one kind of a lot more even than a lot of people think, because Skimmy can do well in tiers like Ubers and a little bit of the lower tiers as well. While Fragments can do OU and some of the mid tiers as well as doubles. So he has that advantage there. I think I'm gonna go with Fragments on this one because genuinely I think, comparatively speaking, I think Fragments can bolster a lot more. Is well more adjusted in this meta than Skimmy has, and I think the versatility will show that Fragments will win.
Yeah, I agree. I think Fragments will win too, because, yeah, just, I think he's a bit better. Although, my head says Fragments, and it's pretty adamant about that. My gut, deep down, sees a future where Skimmy wins.
We'll see if
So I
it's
could see
another.
that.
We'll see if it's another upset. I'm actually looking forward to the rest of the games. I'm actually looking forward to watching all of these, which I will later, and I'll take notes, just as always. Anyway, thank you all for watching, because it's the end of the video. Please like this comment. Please like this comment. Subscribe. Uh, click the not bell icon for notifications. And I'll see you next week when we tackle round 16 and blah blah blah. Whatever. We're tackling round 3.
Boy, shorter video.
We're tackling round 3 recap and round 4 predictions next, okay? Okay.
Oh boy, a shorter video.
Yeah. Get excited. Anyway, it's been McCoy signing out.
My cat says bye even though he's sleeping.